everyone, and welcome to Lenormarch Day 18. Today we are featuring none other than the mice card and the heart. The mice card to me means something that is being eaten away, something that is disappearing, and or a sense of loss. Rana George, I thought, explained in one sentence this card quite succinctly when she says that the mice card is the stress and worry that gnaw at your core slowly and constantly. And that really kind of rang true for me, because you do see them there, you know. They're kind of running around and busy, but they're always nibbling. Of course, if this card ends up next to something like the mountain, well, that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing. It's quite good to know that slowly and constantly that mountain is being eaten away, and you'll soon be able to move forward. So I understand with this card that it does depend on the situation and the surrounding cards as to whether it is positive or negative. But I imagine that under normal circumstances, or perhaps more often than not, one could say, that it does pertain to stress and anxiety, worry, nervousness, yeah, that kind of thing. Maybe sorrow, even exhaustion, because it just keeps going and going and going. I always think of the nervous system, you know, being really quite fluttery and anxious, and that's very tiring as well. I have also read that it can mean teamwork or direction. So is it, you know, everything's going in a dozen different directions at once, or maybe, yeah, we need to refocus on which direction we want to take in life. And I thought, gee, that with the paths would be interesting. But all in all, I see it as that loss, anxiety, concerns, worries, and a bit of stress. I remember reading also that it might pertain to something like unexpected expenditure, because the mouse card can reveal some things that were hidden, like mold or a leak or something like that in your house. So not like the book where it's like, you know, all this information's coming through, but if there were hidden problems, because you think about the mouse. Oh, sorry, I had to pause then to cough. You think about the mouse, they're often hidden. They're under the rafters, or, you know, under the house, or in the you know, dark corner of the house, and they come out at night. So when this card comes up, if it pertains to the house, it can indicate that, yeah, something's going to come through now. Oh, we found the problem. There's a leak in the laundry, or whatever it be. So I just keep that in mind as well. And now, oh, I seem to have a frog in my throat. Excuse me a sec. Okay, I'm back. I will let you on to a little secret. I made this wonderful green smoothie this morning, and I've been sipping away. And as I was concentrating on the cards just before I started this video, I picked up the large glass, missed my mouth, and spilled a green smoothie down my front, which was very exciting. And so since then, yeah, something kind of got stuck in my throat. I can't help but see the funny side. The most important thing, it did not splash on the cards. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be laughing right now. Back to the cards. The heart. What does the heart refer to? In a nutshell, I would say matters of the heart. So you can't help but think about love and romance, passion, devotion. I like that, because you think of the ring as being the commitment and the bond, and the heart is, you know, the devotion to each other as a couple. Affection. And I think also things like just love and happiness and fulfillment can come, you know, pleasure and happiness and joy can just come out of the heart card. It doesn't always just have to be, you know, pertaining to romance, or, you know, a romantic connection with someone else. It can be a love of you or life or your job. I imagine also it's something like, you know, you could look into this as your heart's desire, kind-heartedness and generosity, even maybe humanitarian work, because you're giving from the heart. But whatever you're referring to, it is the love and pleasure and happiness of something. Yeah, it's delightful. And I remember reading too, before I move on, that next to the coffin or the cross, the heart can mean lovesickness, which I thought was a really groovy explanation, because it's something that wouldn't have crossed my mind. I probably just would have gone extremely to the dark side, seeing it next to the coffin. So it's something to keep in mind, isn't it? As I continue to choke privately, I'm going to answer the question for today, which is, what do you find that eats away at relationship the most, and what are some of the things that you do to offset that? I feel that's a really interesting and in-depth question, or should I say the question is interesting and the answers are very in-depth. There are many answers to that question, and I'm looking forward to reading what other people have to say. So I'll start by saying this is one thing that can happen in relationship that eats away at the relationship, because there are many, and it would be really easy to go off on this really interesting psychological tangent, and I'm going to do my best to wrangle it in and stay calm. Just give one little example, Leander, otherwise I'll be here all day, because it really is a fascinating question. What does eat away at relationship? Because I was sitting here looking at the heart, and heart is all about connection, and I thought, one thing that comes to mind immediately to me is disconnect. Disconnect brings on distance, and I think that is one thing that definitely eats away at relationship. So you can have a disconnect because your partner's away a lot, or you could have a disconnect while you're both still sitting in the same room together. Why does disconnect occur? Well, that's another lecture, isn't it? It can happen for so many reasons. But if you get to the point where either you are disconnecting from your own heart and or disconnecting from the relationship, I mean, it's going to be a domino effect, isn't it? I think that is one thing that can cause all sorts of trouble. Once you're disconnected, it can impinge on your communication skills. So one tends to go within, swimming around in the dark abyss trying to figure out what's going on, and we stop talking to each other due to that disconnect. Or maybe you don't even want to swim around in the abyss. Maybe you go into denial due to that disconnect. So I find that a really interesting concept when you look at it, because disconnection can come on all levels: emotional, physical, mental, even spiritual, and then we lose our spiritual path. So if you lose yourself and your path, I think it's very, very challenging to any relationship. If I found myself disconnecting from myself, I would first of all go in and do some inner work, some shadow work, maybe some journaling, sit at the seaside, have a really good think, delve into self, because I do that anyway a lot in life. Therefore, that would be the first thing I would do. I think the buck stops and starts with myself. So before I step into dealing with the relationship, I'd have to make sure that I'm grounded and I'm being truly honest about myself, where I'm at, and my behavior. And then, even if it terrified me, even if I was feeling anxious and running in all different directions in my mind and in my belly, like the mice, that nervousness, I would still at some point have to bite the bullet and start a conversation with my partner in order to, bring this situation to light. Because as we all know, the longer you leave it, the worse it's going to get. It's harder to reconnect. I think at the end of the day, once you reassess where you are at, you know whether you want to be in that relationship or not, whether it be a business relationship, a romantic one, a friendship. So again, the buck stops and starts with yourself, and it's important to clear the way there. And that's where I can see the mouse card going, well, which direction you're going? This way, which direction do you want to go? And then jump back into your heart, open your heart, and move forward into communication with that particular person in order to get back on track. And of course, then the way they respond, well, that's step 2, where you see how you want to take it from there. And if you're not getting the response that is meaningful or conducive to a positive outcome, I guess step 3 is where you have to decide whether you want to remain disconnected from that person or not. But if you don't reconnect with you, I think that's a lot of the problem, where people disconnect from each other. But really at the essence of the issue is that they are disconnected from themselves. And it's very easy to blame and point the finger, and we tend to look outside of ourselves for solutions. So we run after our partner perhaps, or we take their word as gospel, or their solution, that's the way it has to be, without consulting our true self, our heart first. So that is one aspect of, what are the types of issues that can eat away at relationships. But I say that clearly, that's only one of many. But I think it's certainly something that is absolutely essential. You must have that beautiful open connection to keep the energy flowing. The energy is obviously flowing in the heart, but it's all over the shop. It's going in every different directions in the mice, which causes fatigue, anxiety, and uncertainty. Okay, I had better leave it there. So thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.